Hi, and welcome to You Amazing. I'm Jorma, and I'm so happy to have you here today. This is a space to pause, to breathe, and also to be human. And today I'm very happy to welcome Jamie, founder, father, and creator of Ludi, a company helping remote teams reconnect through laughter, reflection, and presence. I first met Jamie years ago when I was working as an agile coach. Back then, he was building a tool called Metro Retro, now known as Ludi. I was part of the testing and feedback community, and I loved it. It helped me facilitate retrospectives and connect remote teams in a truly human way. So this conversation feels a bit like coming full circle, from using his tool to talking with the mind and heart behind it. So I'm really curious to explore how it all began, what changed along the way, and what it means for you, Jamie, as a founder, father, and a human being to stay present in the digital world. So wherever you are right now as a listener, maybe walking, driving, or sitting with a tea, take a breath with us, pause, and let's dive right in. So welcome, Jamie.
Awesome. Thank you. Great to be here.
Jamie, I talked about pausing. Mm-hmm. What was the last moment that really made you pause?
Probably yesterday. It was a Sunday. Mm-hmm. Sundays are now taken by my 1.5-year-old, my toddler. I love them. We're always going out doing things. And it's those moments just as a young father experiencing everything for the first time with a firstborn, seeing those flashes in between playing and just going, wow. So you experience and reflect on you being that child with your father. You reflect on, wow, in 20 years it will go by in a flash, and then suddenly we'll be, how old will I be? And you start playing your life over, and you almost do a whole life's flash in a couple of seconds while he's doing something, and you may be staring at the wall, and then you come back to it and you're like, whoa, that was crazy. And then you're back into playing. So that's probably a pause, and a very filled pause. So I don't know if it counts as a pause, because should a pause be full of nothing and you're just resetting, or should a pause be living a whole life ahead of you and then coming back as if in a time machine? But I quite like those. They are, they're a time machine, right? And you get to think forwards and backwards and then come back to the present. And it really, really helps you with, if you're ever frustrated or angry, going, remember the 20 years will be gone. You had this with your father. Remember the moments he was angry. Can you delay that in yourself? Can you take a different approach?
I love that. Thank you for that example. And it's so nice that you remember, like yesterday, on a conscious level of that happened. And I think that's so important, to have these moments, like consciously, what you said, like reflecting, so it stays with you like as a picture, and it can help you from time to time to reconnect to that.
Definitely. Yeah, it really helps with the present mindset.
So you're a founder, a father. Which one is stretching you the most right now?
The founder part, for sure. I think partially because with a 1.5-year-old, you can send them to nursery between certain hours of the day for 4 days a week. And you know he's in good hands, and he'll be fun when he gets back. He's fun when he wakes up in the morning. Whereas being a founder, we're a small business. We're 4 people. It's me and my co-founder, a designer and engineer. There's always something to think about, to do in the back of your mind. It's hard to escape that. Even the thinking part, you know, you're constantly thinking about yesterday's decisions, tomorrow's coming up. What are we doing in the week? What are we doing in the month? Are we on the right path? Why didn't someone upgrade? There's constant questions there. So it stretches you mentally, even if you think it's not, even if you think you've stopped work for the day and you've gone to make dinner, it's there. And I'm sure that's the same for many, many people, even, you know, in their work, even if they're not a founder.
Right.
people's work can take over.
Yeah. And I like the word nursery in that context. How could nursery look like for your own business?
What does a nursery look like? So with a nursery, what you're doing is you're giving your child into the hands of, effectively at the beginning, they're strangers. Okay, they have certificates and guidelines and regulations, and the government and council are checking on them, and there's a regulatory board, but there's still a huge element of trust there, huge. And you're checking in not only with your child at the end of the day, but how did they interact, and what did you do with them, and what's the curriculum. And for a business, so that there you're letting go control. For a business, I think for a founder, what you want to do is give away small parts of the business to your employees and trust them with it, rather than do things yourself. So obviously that's delegation, but it's that stepping of trust as well. And the thing that I find, as well as just trusting them, is that you do have to give them the comfort that they're not going to muck up, or if they do, it doesn't matter. And if they muck up, it was probably your fault because you didn't help prepare them enough with enough background of the business. Yeah. So like I've been founder of Ludi for 5.5 years now, I think. Yeah. And I have a lot of context. I've spoken to a lot of customers, I've helped with every support ticket. Me and my co-founder have decided every single pricing. We've decided every single feature and line and our position in the world. And it's not fair to ask someone with maybe 1 or 2 years in the business to just run with something without you working on it with them first. So yeah, there's that. Nursery in a business is small chunks to people.
Yeah. And maybe more from time to time to get some pressure off your shoulders. Yeah. Handing over responsibility, I think, also what I heard from that.
Yeah.
Sharing the responsibility in a company, in a team can help. Yeah. So when you moved from, am I right, like from more product management in a role to being a founder, what surprised you the most about that shift, I would say?
So I've been thinking about that quite a bit recently in the last few months, as I've been, again, looking back and thinking about these things and how I talk about our business. And then people obviously are really interested in how did you build it? What did you do? What mistakes did you make? What successes were there? What surprised you? And moving from sort of a product manager, product owner role, which I just did either when it was needed, was losing some dogmatism towards prioritization frameworks and the things you must do in product, and the things that a process must go like this, and you must be measuring everything, and you must be doing all these things, which you probably can do full-time in a product management role, and you probably should. When you move to the founder of business, you have to do that plus everything else. Right. And unfortunately, everything else you've likely never done before, and you have to learn it. If you don't learn it, no one else will, and you'll be failing on that front. Of course, you can spend money in that area, but it's actually very expensive to get experts. And we were a bootstrap business for a long time, and we didn't have spare cash to be spending 5-10K a month on the expert in that area to get things sorted. So we had to learn a lot of things ourselves. You learn a lot of things that you never wanted to learn, but you have to. And some of them you end up getting really good at, and I think the passion and discovering things helps with that. The other ones you get just good enough.
Can you make an example what that means for you? What do you love now? What do you still hate and delegate?
So I really love and I'm surprised by this, I really love the sales side. I didn't always have that negative an opinion of salespeople, but it wasn't the most positive perception ever. And again, this is my ignorance, I think, because I'd never done the role. I'd never understood that you do need to sell things in order to have a business, in order to make money, to employ other people in other roles. And I really enjoy the sales part, the aspect of, hey, we have a solution that is very good and it helps with some some great things. Do you have the problems that this helps with? Can we help you? And then on top of that, you do have the logistics of sales. Like, are we in the right place and time budget wise? Are you guys ready for this? Is everyone bought in? You know, they're just steps.
Yeah.
It's the part where you're talking to someone and they have some issues and you're trying to bridge the gap between what you have and their problems and see if it's a match. And we're still in a position where, well, I personally am not selling things where I feel like it's the wrong solution. I'm not trying to say, oh yeah, you can do this with the tool. Of course you can. We're not in that position. Hopefully we won't ever be. But it's that part of sales that I've surprisingly really enjoyed. A lot of it's conversations like this one.
Yeah.
You find out about the other person. Okay, it's in a work environment, but you can still get personal with it. You can remember things about people the next time you talk to them. They're pleasantly surprised when you ask them a follow-up question.
Yeah.
I like that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And what are the other things that you like to delegate?
They are the things that I'm not so good at.
Okay.
And it's obvious. And I could probably get good, but it would take a lot of time. So things like, I like to build retrospectives. I like to build workshops. I like to build, we're going from 0 to 1 and a workshop needs to look roughly like this. So that the guys on our team are brilliant at making it look and function amazing on our canvas, our online whiteboard, Ludi. So it's kind of naturally, I used to build them and we used designers for the illustrations and the beautiful parts, and I kind of put them together.
Yeah.
But it's emerging that I'm kind of building if you like, the wireframes for the workshop. Here's why it works and how. And the guys on the team are amazing at going, well, wouldn't it be great if it looked like this? And you need to put a border on this. And, you know, we can make it a little bit silly if we include this here. What do you think about that? I'm like, yeah, perfect, brilliant. So it's that part of the final production of a beautiful template.
Okay.
I shouldn't be doing. And there's probably some in the tool that I did do in the past, and you could probably, if you went through them, point out which ones I made 100%. And we're kind of updating those with our new style guides. Other parts of the business that you just have to get on with, like the accountancy part, the legal part, the finance part.
Yeah.
Of course, you need the experts there, but they're waiting for you on decisions, on input. Like if you do a share scheme, they want to know what's your philosophy, what's your rules about how you give out shares. You know, if you're doing your terms and conditions, of course, a lawyer can draw up boilerplate, but there's lots and lots of scenarios. What do you want to happen when? What should happen in this instance? And they can advise, but they can't make that final decision. And you need to either know the ramifications of all those decisions or be wise enough to ask them the questions of, okay, if we chose A, what would happen? If we chose B, what would happen? And get them to give a little bit more than their neutral opinion, because you notice that lawyers, especially, they like to advise but not give the final decision. I don't know if that's maybe we're not paying enough. But yeah, it's those kind of things where suddenly you have to decide, if you had downtime and a customer decides to cancel the contract, what would be the route out of that? And you have to decide what's the go and no goes on that specifically, and what's the parameters and the criteria. It's not that fun.
That's I like the approach of what are my strengths, and I just have like this amount of time to invest. So put it in your strength, what you're good at, and there are other people with other strengths that can focus on the other topics. And design is kind of I also like to play in design topics, but then I find out, there are people that really are good in this and it makes a difference. So there maybe is a decision to make. Yeah. Interesting. Thanks for sharing. So when we talk about Ludi, what is your vision behind Ludi?
So Ludi is a new name for the product, actually. It's about 3 months old from a rebrand. As you said earlier, it used to be called Metro Retro. And it was probably the best online platform for running a remote retrospective. I said probably there, giving myself a little out, but it probably was. And people absolutely loved it for their retrospectives. But then we had customers going, well, you're a whiteboard. I run every workshop. I run every session in here. Yeah. I just make it with this, and I make my own templates and tools. And of course, an online whiteboard is just a space, the same as a whiteboard in a meeting room or in a workshop. You've got an online whiteboard isn't just the room that you come together in. It's the materials on the table. It's the things prepared by the facilitator beforehand. It's the spaces to co-create. And that's what we made. And like, obviously we knew this a bit, but the ways that especially our biggest customers were using it just for everything. Yeah. They said, we start a call, we open a board. It doesn't matter if it's a weekly check-in call. It doesn't matter if it's a customer call. We might even just be brainstorming or something. We open a board just in case, even if it's not planned. So we were seeing that, and Ludi represents the transition from being a obvious retrospective tool to an online whiteboard, so a digital canvas where you can visualize what you're talking about. You can get everybody on the same page. You're not just talking to each other back and forth across Zoom or Teams. You're actually committing to what you're putting down, and there's 10 or 12 people that can say, no, that blue should be red, or that decision that you've made there, that won't work. But if you just say it, like, we're making this decision, 8 of 12 people on the call aren't listening. Right. But if they see it in front of them, it's a different story. So we're moving into being the collaboration tool specifically for agile teams to run all of their sessions. And I use this word sessions instead of meetings or workshops because you have your planned formal meetings and workshops that run your iterations, they run your cycles, they run your releases. But you also have the ad hoc informal sessions between team members, stakeholder workshops, project kickoffs, risk workshops. Perhaps you need to plan for a release, and it's really useful to use a sort of 2D, 3D environment rather than just looking at a boring backlog of tasks in Jira.
Yeah. Awesome. So many questions in my head, but maybe go back a step. In the introduction, I said, like, Ludi is helping teams to open up, laugh, reflect, and commit. What do you think is it that makes it so rare in remote work?
Yeah, we from the beginning have put a bit of a sense of humor in there, in the tool, both from us, but we've also allowed team members to add their own personality into the tool really easily. So there's sort of, I think they're like video game elements. It's not a video game. It is an online whiteboard, but instead of feeling like a boring whiteboard where people are putting stuff on and you're working in parallel in your own lane, we tried to make it interactive. So you actually feel like you're working with your colleague over there. So that's the funny guy. That one's the cynical guy. This one's the shy one, but actually has really good points when allowed to speak their mind. And what we tried to do was create this playground or space where you're working remotely, you're talking at people 2D on a screen, you're by yourself in a room. But when you get into a Ludi board, you feel like you're actually working with your team on something and you're collaborating rather than listening to a presentation or waiting your turn. You're all working at the same time in time boxes with some fun elements, like you can put a hat on your avatar. You can choose a hat, like many, fun little video games and mini games, and people love that kind of stuff. We were surprised how much it was loved. Like, we wanted to add it, and it is fun, but we were quite taken aback by the reaction to both things like hats and the Confetti Cannon, which is, a lot of tools have confetti, but what they do is that they let you click a button and confetti appears somewhere else. It's quite disconnected. It's weird. It's boring. But what we do is we give you a controllable cannon. So you have to click and pull, and you because you're choosing the direction and the power of where it goes, it's in your control and it's fun, and you can spam it. You can do it a million times, and
I could do it. I could do it all day. It's so satisfying, and I'm stepping out of my comfort zone here to say, like, I think you're the inventor of the confetti cannon in remote space. Because what you said, you see it here and there in different tools, but yours is different. Yeah. And I still remember just what you said, like the fun element, just in a session, whatever it is, just shooting the cannon puts smiling faces all over your monitor. So you see your colleagues, what's happening there in the first place, like being irritated, but then the fun element. And that was always the first thing when someone was new to the tool. I showed them this because that was kind of the interactive part, like really seeing, I do something, you see, I'm doing something, like right now, we are together in this space. Yeah. And I think that's magical. And the fun part, like the connection, what you said with the hats, that's so much fun. Yeah, thank you for doing that. It's also really was a key element in going remote, also fully remote back in the days. Great. That helped.
Yeah, my co-founder built it, the Cannon, and he wanted something fun in there, and he was looking around, and he found this confetti open source library. And it was fun, and this is what a lot of tools now use in their tool, but they don't really modify it much. They don't add personality. They don't think about it. They're not, again, empathizing with who's using it. They're not going, well, hey, if I was using this tool, what would be a fun thing to do? Because we always used to make our retros fun when we ran them in person. We always used to make them fun. We would still try when we were using other whiteboards in the 2010s. Like, we still try to put a theme on it or bring in some in-jokes to things. And when he was building it, he thought, what's fun? And he found the confetti thing, and he thought, well, what if I can just, And then, to cut a long story short, the click and drag cannon was built. And there's some really funny stories we've been told by customers over the past. The early versions of the confetti cannon used to be quite resource intensive on a laptop. And it so turns out in software engineering teams that the developers and the designers, they have very powerful machines because they need to manipulate images and video and run code and all that kind of stuff. However, Scrum Masters, Agile coaches, project managers, like leads who are more used, they're using Google Docs and things. They aren't given such powerful machines. Now, the confetti cannon, when fired by 5 to 10 people, can really, really, really slow down the Scrum Masters' machines. And so if they're running a session and everyone's getting a bit bored, or they want to say, let's move on, or even like, let's celebrate what someone just said, the teams were organically all firing. So their machines work fine. But then the Scrum Master's like, I can't do anything. It's slowed down to a halt. And they're like, yep, get the hint. And we were told this story, or like completely spontaneously, by teams and teams and teams and teams, where the engineers realized they could slow down the meeting leader's laptop.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And that's great. Then we're back to creating a pause moment, right? To reflect, let's stop here. Let's make Jorma, the agile coach, stop.
Yeah.
To reflect what's happening here, what's needed right now in this space. I love that.
And it's really, you talk about team personality and culture, and I don't have a doctorate in this, but it comes into things a lot where you need to create environments and spaces for teams where people of different personalities and abilities to speak up and confrontation levels, they have an equal playing field. And the confetti cannon is one of those instances that came about in the tool where someone doesn't have to be confrontational and say, hey, unmute, stop talking about this, we're taking too much time. Yeah. They can take a confetti cannon and they can fire it. They don't have to say a word. But that this indirect action is helping them express their feelings inside, and it's for the good of the team.
I love that.
Yeah. It's really interesting.
It is. Well, thank you for this funny backstories, and I'm back in my confetti mode. Love that. Thank you for putting the smile on my face. Talking about collaboration, what does real collaboration mean to you beyond frameworks and tools?
So I said this semi-recently, and I actually really like it as a phrase, that when collaborating with people, I like to see the whites of their eyes. And so it's my personality, but I like to be collaborating with people sat next to them or like huddled together.
Yeah.
Of course, you can collaborate by sending documents back and forth and handing off things. But collaboration for me is there's a goal and a target that maybe you need to achieve or the team needs to achieve, and you need other people to do it. It might not be so important to them. And they also need to be brought along the journey of like, okay, I have this goal and I really need your help. This is why it's important to me. I understand why it's not important to you, but if you can spare an hour of your time or a check-in or impart your view here, it will really help, and here's why. And you can also do the reverse. When they have an issue, instead of glossing over it or saying it's not my problem, give them the time of the day, intensely listen to them, understand why it's important to them, and they will remember that in the future.
Yeah.
And so it might have taken your time and it might have felt a bit inconvenient. But if you do that with the people around you as much as possible, I find you end up getting that back when it's your turn. So yeah, collaboration for me is that personal aspect. It's, I really need your help. This is probably outside of the norm. It's probably taking time from what we all consider our day-to-day responsibilities and our timelines. But if we solve this, it means we can move on. It means we have this target, that kind of thing.
I love that. And you perfectly described in your words what, for me, coaching is.
Okay. I've never
creating
coached.
This space of real, I call it coactive conversation. I'm a coactive coach. I listen to what you have to say, also to yourself, creating this space that's collaboration in the end.
Okay, yeah.
A deep collaboration, really focusing on what there is and the human aspect. Yeah.
That's interesting because I've not been a coach and I don't think I've had like one-on-one coaching.
Yeah.
But the cliches of the psychologist or a psychotherapist, you go and talk to them and they listen and they say, well, why do you think that is? And it's like they've had that rehearsed and ready and they're not co-active in it. They're just getting you to think, which is a useful technique, but they're just reflecting and getting you to think. Whereas it sounds like coaching is a bit more than what they're doing. Is that right?
What comes up for me is if you only have all the questions like ready to ask, that's not coaching.
Okay.
But to choose from intuition, maybe it's a question, it's about intervention, right? It could be a question. It could also be something else, irritating you in a different way, saying something, what comes up in this moment when you say something. So there are different ways of coaching. But if you talk about questions, I think the most important topic is that I'm really listening I'm with you.
Yeah.
It's not about me. And then you say something and there is intuition. It will help you to go deeper into this word or this area that you just described. And then I ask a question to help you to go deeper into that aspect. And you this is the transformational part in coaching that will help you to find new elements in there. And that's the co-creation. And it needs to come from intuition. So it's not a catalog of questions. Then it's not collaboration. Does that make sense for you?
Yeah. So you can't be a coach from day one. I mean, with many roles, you can't pick up a certification, call yourself a coach. You need to have either been through the scenarios and situations or experienced applying knowledge and applying techniques to situations, see how it rolls out and picking from a library to try and help the person. Yeah, fair enough.
Right. Yeah. And that's a crucial point, being a coach. A lot about being, and it's a lot about stance. A coaching stance is exactly when you're listening, you're not listening to give an answer. You're listening to be with. That's a different path we're now going. I think what we are currently in is the human aspect of what we said, collaboration. And I think in the talks we had in the past, you mentioned something like humanless moments, that remote work feels humanless. And you were not happy with the term humanless.
No.
So I would like to go in that with you. What is it about the humanless that is important to you?
Yeah, I was using the word humanless because remote work can feel very disconnected. And I think if you were to apply a I don't know how to describe it, but a positive word to it, rather than a word with a negative on the end of it, humanless, people say robotic, right? Robotic, robot. I feel like a robot. I feel like I'm robotic. I'm just doing a series of tasks.
Right.
Surrounded or interacting with humans, but not really interacting. I don't like using the word robotic or robot, so that's why I was saying humanless, because human is such an essence, and it implies a bit of soul, personality.
Yeah.
I think you're not saying person, you're saying human. And in design and things, they're always saying human-centered and human, and it's a soft phrase that implies there's someone there that has emotions and feelings and cares about things and you and themselves and their work.
Yeah.
So yeah, humanless. Maybe there's a word. Maybe we just need to do some thesaurus checking or chat GPT conversation. But yeah, humanless.
So what is the emotion behind humanless or robotic?
Soulless. But that's too negative. Soulless is a really, really negative term, which I don't think is quite right. It's almost a level less negative from the...
Yeah, we're kind of in a spiritual level now, like when we talk about soul.
Yeah. People use soulless as a very derogatory term.
What temperature does humanless, robotic, soulless have for you?
That's nice. Yeah, thinking about the cold to warm, or...
Right.
Do you know the word lukewarm in English?
Lukewarm?
Lukewarm, it's... when you run a tap and it's not cold and it's not hot, it's kind of mild. So you're not feeling the extremes of a cold water or hot water. It's lukewarm. And lukewarm is...
You don't even think about a temperature because there's no...
Yeah. It's just there. It just exists. And it's when you're interacting with lukewarm, it's fine. However, to describe something as lukewarm can be a little bit negative, because I think with the Americanization of everything, and everything must be awesome and great and positive, to have anything that's average or medium is unfortunately seen as a bit of a negative now.
Mediocre.
Sorry, any Americans out there listening to this. But yeah, like in English, we say nice. That was nice for everything, and it was fine. Nice and fine are hugely used words for all.
How are you doing? Good.
Yeah, good. Yeah. Like, fine. I'm fine, thanks.
Yeah.
And it doesn't need exploration. It doesn't need pizzazz. It doesn't need anything more to it. And lukewarm as a temperature can be like that. But unfortunately, you could say to someone, they were a bit lukewarm about the idea, or the feeling was a bit lukewarm. And it just means, it wasn't warm or hot. It wasn't passionate. It was...
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, remote working, remote interaction. Is it lukewarm or is it cold? Can you move the temperature up from cold to lukewarm to warm, if not hot? Maybe you don't want hot in remote working.
Hot is not...
Hot is hot stress.
The scales end where we want to end. It's not, right?
Yeah, no.
Where do we want to end?
It's like those series of baths if you go to the active springs, the hot springs.
Yeah.
I reminded of one we went to in Mendoza in Argentina. It's coming down from... The water is coming down from the mountains, but you've also got hot springs, and there's a series of jacuzzi baths, like natural ones in stone. You can move up, and you start in lukewarm, and you're moving up the temperature scale, and each one is actually fine after the last.
Right.
But then when you come back to it, say you go for lunch and you come back and you touch that hot one, you feel burnt. How did I ever get in there?
Yeah.
And it's just because you're moving up between them. I don't know, your body gets acclimatized to them or something. It's a very weird sensation to do that. and realize that you were in that water and you were fine.
But
you came to it from the outside and touch it, and you react.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you bring that to remote work, that picture, what is coming up for you?
I mean, bringing it back to working online with people, if you just jump straight into a hot activity with people, say they've been in their work or another meeting, or they've been interrupted from their state of flow and they're in your meeting, and you go straight into hot and you're expecting people to be all guns blazing, that's never going to work, is it? Right. I know I'm preaching to the choir here with you've run a million sessions, but it's true. You need to warm up. You need to go through the stages, let people build their own gears, and you need to allow them to, in their own way, build a little dissection between what they were just doing and the focus that you need them for here. Everyone brings in their own preconditions, their own worries, their own stresses, their own thoughts about the meeting. And for me, remote work, especially when you're working in a synchronous thing, you need to warm people through that, because especially if you're not in person, you can't see what they've just been doing.
Yeah.
If you've been sat next to someone and then you move into a meeting room, you might have an idea of if they've just been designing something, if they've been in a conversation.
Yeah.
But yeah, remote work, they don't exist, and then they do.
Right.
Right? You have zero idea. Maybe you have a Slack message.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That's so interesting. Thank you for going on the journey with me. And I like the temperature one, and I like that it also like pops up in my mind that it is very also individual. What is my temperature I feel comfortable in? And it might be a different one to you. So there's no one solution.
Yeah.
But like aligning something on warming up totally makes sense. So,
and that's, can I ask you a quick question? Maybe this is too long an answer. That's the skill of a facilitator, knowing that people are all at their different temperatures, and you may never get them all to the same high temperature in the workshop, but you need to be able to manage their temperature and energy and inputs around who they are and their enthusiasm for the session. And I'm assuming, as a skilled facilitator, you're not a cheerleader, you're not trying to get everyone up to here. You're okay with them being different. You're working around that, and you're designing collaboration around people being different and expecting it. Right? It's like Agile, expecting change and being ready for it, rather than throwing everything out the window when change happens. You expect it as a principle.
Yes, and even more important as a facilitator, it is to enable the humans to create that space for themselves and also the other colleagues. That is so important, because I'm not the one seeing all the faces, all the emotions, all the temperatures. It's like you also see your colleague that you know better. Oh, that's too hot. We need to slow down. And also hand up. Like, I think we need to slow down. Not for me, but I see some faces I know. And that is something that I learned as a facilitator. That is even more important. It's not about me. That's like the coaching stance. It's about you. And you maybe know your team colleagues better than I do. But I hold the space, and I make it possible to have like the tour so we can warm up, so we can stay at a high pace for whatever that means. And we can also slow down when it needs. And I think that's also, the picture is perfect, because you can only stay in the hot tub for a short amount of time to then go back, go outside and get some fresh air, whatever. It's like, and that makes sense, to stop, to pause, step out, go back in. Where's the temperature now? That's already like the check-in after lunch break is like, where are we now? That's temperature check. And then, okay, let's align on this and then start from there. What do we need? And you can decide. The team can decide. I'm, as a facilitator, is asking the question, what do you need right now? And it's also taking the pressure off my shoulders as a facilitator. And I think that's a lot of facilitators that think they have the responsibility to know all, and it's not. Ask the people that are in front of you that you're facilitating. And what is also not talked about. That's one of the best questions I ever ask, like also in a team.
Oh, yeah. That's one of my favorite exercises, is one of the most simple, but it does require a level of human factor, non-robotic, is right at the beginning, the hopes and concerns. Before a workshop, before a project kickoff. Right, we're going to spend 10 minutes, put your hopes and your concerns for, and give them a very specific, we're looking at this. And especially in cross-discipline, cross-collaboration, cross-department workshops, it is amazing the perspectives and concerns that it exposes. Again, talking in software engineering teams, from my background, I've run it and I've seen the tech team of a client raising these concerns and things about a project that the business side were completely unaware of. And we spent actually the first half of the workshop addressing those and realizing that they were risks. And if you put up something like at the end of the workshop, here's our risk register, you would never, ever, ever have got those things out of them there. And it's those, I don't know why it's so brilliant, but hope, such an emotive word, and concern is a negative, but it's light. It doesn't require huge commitment to say this is a concern for me. You're not saying what will cause the project to fail, because no one wants to write that. What concerns you? Sure, I'll tell you what concerns me. Yeah.
There's something coming up. The concern is something that is, if you consciously think about what is in the way of you being motivated to go forward or just be motivated, it's so interesting to identify, because then you can talk about it, maybe even put it aside, because, now it's gone. Talking to you, it's not really a risk. Love it. Thank you for sharing. I'm really in the here and now with you, looking on where we just started. Like, we started at more human in collaboration. Now we open up like really big. How is Ludi helping to bring more human, more comfortable temperature in collaboration?
If we're talking in terms of like our approach and philosophy to how collaboration should run online, we have a number of tools that when you start a meeting in Ludi, so you have a whiteboard and you have templates and exercises. When you start a meeting in Ludi, so you're saying this is the collaboration time now. We do a couple of things. So we make the person who started the meeting the host, and they get a set of tools to run the workshop really efficiently in an online space. So for example, there's a tool called Ready Check that they can enable, and they can say, hey, everybody, when you're done with the current exercise, just go and hit a check. And it says that you're ready to move on. And we implemented this because we do it. Everyone does it. The facilitator might set a timer, and actually half the time is gone and everyone's sort of mucking around. Or they unmute and they say, hey, is everybody ready? Is everyone done? And what you're doing is you're asking every single person to give you an auditory response. It's a huge waste of time and it's annoying. Nice. So we built things like the Ready Check to help you just go, right, I'm going to set a 10-minute timer, but if you're done early, go check the thing. If we're all done early, we move on. Like, that's amazing. Another thing we do is we start what we call private writing immediately. Private writing means people can write their stickies without other people seeing what they're writing. You actually see these squiggles for someone else's post-it. So you see it dynamically increase as they're typing in the sticky, but it's just these squiggles. And what's really nice is that it stops people from, same as if you're in an in-person workshop, you can't see what other people are writing. You can't bias each other. And it allows you to self-edit before you want to share your notes. So you can write whatever you want, you can delete it, you can edit it. And this exercise is at the core of exercises like retrospectives or team things where you have to be honest and open, and there's a level of criticism that comes in. So you want to think about how you're sharing your notes. You want to be fair and open. And private writing, we turn it on by default for every meeting. You can then choose to switch it off if you want to, if you don't need it. But because it's on by default, it starts people with that mindset of I can brainstorm by myself, even though I'm with people. I can do this here in an online setting. And that's a really, really nice thing to do. And then things like our templates. So we build all our templates by hand. And we've taken a perspective of not just building every template that exists in a library of all the other tools, but we've designed each one with hand-drawn illustrations, with, from our experience of 10, 15 years of running these kind of sessions, what actually works in a good, bad, start, stop. What do you really need? Like, what comes after? What's the discussion that comes out of that? Or if you have some of the more themed exercises, like, what are the prompts that get people to think in a different way? Of course, you're asking people what was good, what was bad, what should we stop doing, what should we start doing? But you can ask these questions in so many different ways that expose different perspectives and get people to think about how they respond to that type of question. And I think a lot of people use good, bad, start, stop continuously. And good for them. I worry a little bit that they're not getting the best out of their session. I worry that they're not tailoring their reflection session on what happened.
Right. Yeah.
I worry that they are just going through the motions, and actually they could maybe just cancel this session and do something different. Go down to the pub and have a conversation instead. Go for a walk, host it somewhere else, use a different tool, try something new.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's those kind of things that we like to do for teams from our experience and from what we've seen. We try and create this environment of fun but safe. And so you feel like you can say what you need, and we give you ways to say it in that doesn't have to be confrontational.
Yeah.
So it appeals to all different types of personality.
And I love how you describe it, that because you're like a small company, it's really coming from you as humans, from a heart, like writing it down from your own experiences, trying it out, and then build it in the tool. It feels so much more direct from human to human. Don't want to compare it to other tools that kind of bigger or whatever.
Yeah.
That really feels like that's the human aspect you also have in Ludi implemented. It's you, because you're putting your heart and passion in it.
Yeah, we often have, when, say, a company is buying a tool instead of an individual, maybe a head of development or a CTO of tech comes to me and says, yeah, so the engineers love this tool. I've never heard of it. I didn't even realize we needed a tool like this. I know that we have our project management tools, and I know we have sometimes, like, they're like, we have other whiteboard tools, but the engineers tell me it's not the right thing. They want your tool. And it's really hard to, that's great because it's bottom up and they've told their leader, this is what we need to work well as a team. And some great leaders listen to that, some don't. They say, no, we bought this tool, that's the one you have to use. Yeah. It can be hard to do sales from that aspect. How do you go to a CTO and say, by the way, in 6 months, your engineers will absolutely love their sessions and it will be transformed because of the way the tool makes them feel when they work together in it, right? So it's an interesting, like, that's our number one thing. Yeah. But I think our sales approach, if you're addressing a leadership, has to be different. And talking about metrics and things like that, and culture change and retention of staff and happiness at work and things. We're still figuring that out.
Okay. So what is it? What is the top 3 problems you're solving with Ludi in teams? Like the real
question. I have to get this one right, don't I?
You have to.
Although I'm allowed to change my mind in a month and we can re-record.
Yeah, we can always add in the comments.
Yeah. So the number one thing that we change on a team basis is and we've spoken about this already, the ability for a team to have conversations that don't feel manufactured. They feel like they're coming from the team. And what we're really doing is help facilitate those discussions and help them emerge into the world through templates, techniques, exercises, prompts, through some fun interactive elements in the tool that help teams kind of, they relax when they come into the tool. Yeah. They feel like they're slightly away from their day-to-day work. They can take a lighter approach to working together in Ludi. And the other thing is that I've been told recently by an engineering manager is that he said, our team love Ludi because it's away from every other system that reports on any change or comment that we make in our backlog tool. we make one change in, say, Jira, and everything reports up, it cascades up, and then leaders question why story point velocity is lower, or why we've put comments on this, or why this isn't moving, or whereas they can take that, put it into a Ludi board, and have their psychologically safe, to use the term, they have their space to discuss these things together, away from the serious nature of work. So they're still discussing the work and they're figuring out what to do, but it's their team space and it's theirs, compared to this is a tool that if we make a change to, we need to be able to explain why we did it. And that is tiring. So yeah, that's that's one thing I was told a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, that's really interesting.
Yeah, and that's safe. Like that really goes into psychological safety. This is a safe space. This is experimenting. We can destroy things. We can try out things. Just be open, be creative. But nothing will happen in Jira, what you said. Nobody will see it. Let's go crazy. I love that invitation. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the third one is, again, having a space to visualize things and getting teams into a practice where they are collaborating more than they are not. So I think software engineering is it's the only industry I've ever really worked properly in. But when I talk to friends who work outside of creative or engineering or things like that, or where you have to produce things as a multi-skilled team, they look at me in shock that I'm like, oh yeah, we come to a meeting and I don't know all the answers. Whereas for them, and I would ask my colleagues to help me with it, for them, they do all the work and they spend a very, very long time on it by themselves, and they produce a presentation and they present, and it's extremely formal, and they're waiting for a decision, go, no go kind of thing. And I'm like, no, we get into a board and I've got like maybe 3 questions up there. And I say, guys, I'm right at the beginning. I'm not asking you to do my work, but I'm asking you to impart into it from day 0. I don't know all the answers. And so it's this openness and this co-creation and collaboration that when I talk to friends in other industries, especially about what we do, they're like, you just have this tool that you confetti cannon all over. I'm like, no. It's about getting a team together working. If they start a call, they start a board and they jot everything onto it, and they don't know the answers and they're making it together at the time. There's no presentations, it's that kind of thing. And if I had to think about a philosophy of what Ludi is trying to do in the world, it would be a little bit more of that, of starting with questions from day 1 rather than spending 6 months trying to figure it all out by yourself and then presenting it, when actually you could have roped people in day 1, month 1, and hopefully got to a better place.
I love that. Thank you for sharing. Okay, as we slowly begin to land this conversation, what do you think is needed that we haven't talked about to have this, for you, also feel like a holistic conversation about the topic?
I mean, one thing that I still avoid kind of talking about, it's like November 2025, AI is everywhere. And I'm being transparent, not of a viewpoint or a decision that it is this or it isn't that, or I don't have a hot take on where it's going or how it's changing things. I'm experiencing it like everybody else. And like, we've not spoken about it once or included it, but I'm not sure I want to. There are a lot of people out there talking about AI and what it does. I don't work in the area. I'm just a recipient of AI in my tools. For example, if I record a Loom video, a really smart thing that I used to like was it creates the transcript, but it creates the video title for me from that. And it's a tiny, tiny, tiny thing in a workflow, but maybe putting AI in is overblowing it. But when that first came out, I was like, that's really nice.
Yeah.
It's nice to have a starting position, and you change it sometimes, but sometimes you can just take that link and you can just throw the video to the person that needs it without having to think up the title. The transcript is there, there's a comment written for you. And there's loads of small examples where AI has become useful in tools already, and I really like it when it's added in small parts to existing workflows. But the people who talk about AI, for them, that's not the future. They're thinking about grand Every job will be gone. Jobs will change. There'll be no UI on any tools. Everything will be MCP, API driven. All our agents will be talking to each other to do things for us. We will never be looking at a screen anymore. That I don't even know where to start with that. It's like, what do you, as a normal person, say? Okay, cool. There's very little I can do to affect this. You know, in the EU, they're talking about regulations and bills about AI, and I think for the most part, the EU get their regulations right in protecting people. So let's see where it goes. We're all here for the ride, right?
Yeah.
Do you ever worry about like your employability, your job, your offering, your value to other people in the world? Like it gets deep very quickly.
Yeah. And I went into the rabbit hole a few times. But I think it's but it's maybe me, also my mindset. I love what you said, like these small things more goes in the direction of what I would love to delegate, or that's not my strength and it's helping me. And I love what AI is doing maybe to these parts, so it can help. And I like to just see the chance, because the rest is just so crazy. My brain is not able to grab that. And the other point, and it's also me being a coach, is I have the feeling that also you and Ludi is going into this direction to stay to this human aspect, because that will always be us and will always be only possible with us. And so I decided to focus on that.
Yeah.
And it kind of feels like you're also deciding on that, to maybe shape this one, to maybe find better words for human and humanless, and talk about temperature and the small things that also in coaching is, I do remote coaching, but in-person coaching is something like, do I have the permission to put my hand on your shoulder? Like, do you feel the pressure? Yeah. That's an aspect AI never will be able to do. Kind of feels like you are doing the same with Ludi, or what do you think?
No, yeah, totally. We are, for full transparency, of course, we are putting little bits of AI into the tool to help with what we think about as busy work in the tool. You know, if someone has to spend an hour setting up a session and an hour analyzing it after, of course we can help with that. And of course AI can help with prompts and shortcutting things and grouping things for you, even finding patterns. But the way we think about it is that it's helping you. So the patterns it finds are more suggestions than your job is done.
Yeah.
So if we create things like, if there's a meeting report after the meeting, we don't want to make it a thing for you that you just paste into your Confluence. We want to help you with that. Okay, the analysis of the session, evaluation. Yeah. What did we talk about? Of course, there's always a reporting aspect to things, or a documentation. But help with that. But help the human who decided to run the session for a certain reason, help them with their goals for that. Which is more abstract and it is harder to build for. But I think it gets to a better place at the end of the day. And it's interesting, like I've seen like my co-founder and other engineers take their coding skills and their AI agents, and they can build loads by themselves, and they can go really fast in building solutions. And I do wonder about the saying of, if you want to go fast, go by yourself. If you want to go far, go with somebody else. I wonder if that comes into play here. Are we all going to be individual builders in the future, and there's no collaboration? Or will there still be this need for collaboration and humanness and perspective and input from others, where we still have teams? Yeah. Or are we all going to be teams of one in the future? That's kind of an interesting thing to think about.
It is. What is your wish?
What, either way?
If you can build the future.
I mean, I would love for my work not to be attached to a laptop and a monitor and a setup. I would love to be able to do my work while walking for 90 minutes.
Yeah.
I would love for my work to be varied. I remember when I was, I don't know, applying for university, so 18, and people are asking, what job do you want to do? But, what career? And I was like, well, I want to do everything for like a year each.
Yeah.
That would be awesome. If you could just take, how long is a working life? 40 years? 40, 45? Imagine 1 year you can be a police officer. The next you can be an engineer. The next you can be an events producer. The next you can be a musician. And you're allowed to live your life through it. The reason we work is for money, to be able to live, to rent a house, to participate in the economy we live in. But if you could do each of those things without having to either earn the money or you're given the money for those things, from day one. If you want to be a musician, you're not going to be a musician from day one. You're probably not going to be a good one after a year. But if you were allowed to do that with the bulk of your time, 40, 50, 60 hours a week, that would be so cool. So yeah, I think a future where people can do more things, and maybe it's already heading that way, because think about the generation before us. They have a job and they're set. That is their job for their life, right? Whereas if you look at my LinkedIn, it's always been in software production, but I've had loads of different roles. And they've all been a twist or an evolution of the previous.
Yeah.
But they have been different. They're not just a set career ladder going up from factory worker to factory boss.
Right.
So maybe the world is changing like that.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing. And I think, just to add, that is possible to live your life like that. And it brings me back to the beginning of our conversation. Like, I see you gardening even more in the future.
Yeah.
And I like that picture. I hope you do too.
I have a huge list of garden tasks. Right?
There you go.
I'd love to get through them and then garden someone else's garden.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
Collaborate on a garden together.
Isn't it fun?
Yeah.
To do something together.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Okay, Jamie, for those who want to explore more, where can people find you and Ludi online?
So online, you can find me on LinkedIn. My name is Jamie Hanratty. For Ludi, you want to go to ludi.co, so ludi.co. That's the URL. You can go check out the website. If you want to sign up, there is a free 30-day trial. Of course, if you need longer on the trial, or you have any questions, or you would like a tour, you talk to me and I'd be happy to help with that.
Thank you, Jamie. And we will put everything in the show notes, sure.
Oh, cool.
So you can just click the link.
Nice.
It's easier to find you.
No, I want them to listen to me and go L-U-D.
Oh, I need to go back. I spelled it wrong. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jamie, thank you for being here, for being such a wonderful human, and also for staying curious, being open.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me. It was a really interesting experience and I enjoyed it. I think sometimes you have a little bit of nerves about these things. And you worry and wonder what it's going to be like, and are you going to say the right things? And actually, you don't need to worry at all. It's just a conversation.
Thank you so much, Jamie. And you're amazing.
That's a very cool catchphrase.
Thank you for sharing your story. Honest, grounded, and truly inspiring. I think it will touch many people listening today. And also to you, dear listeners. Thank you for listening, for taking this pause with us together. And if you ever feel overloaded, if you're a change maker, a conscious leader, and you need someone to hold a pause, a safe space to reconnect, to listen, and to remember who you are beneath all the noise, I'm here for you as a coach to help you reconnect to your roots, awaken your spirit, and see what truly matters. Because you're more than you sometimes think. You're amazing.